I'm closing 20 years of being on staff of Hands and Feet Project.
Welcome to another Project Red with my fave, Miss Andrea McGinniss.
When you're stepping out of leadership, it's harder than stepping in, because stepping in is the yes, and sometimes you feel like stepping out is the no. But trying to reframe it to say I'm stepping into something else and allowing somebody else to say yes. And so I think that's been an emotional shift for me, because I don't want to say no, but I also need to say yes to something else.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another Project Red. I got my buddy Patrick Austin here.
What's up?
So excited. This month, we've got an incredible guest, and just so excited. We're going to be diving into some really cool stuff with my fave. Of course, she's my favorite. She's my lovely wife, Miss Andrea McGinniss, and she's currently the executive director of the Hands and Feet Project. So we're going to dive in to a bunch of things, Hands and Feet Project, and we got some exciting news coming up. We got some crazy news, and but it's all going to be good for you guys to hear, and I'm really excited about this episode. So stay tuned. Here we go with Andrea.
All right, Andrea, for those who might not know you very well, I want to know a little about you, your story, what led you and Will to first getting into missions and eventually into Haiti. Tell us about who you are.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in the Midwest. So at the core,
Midwest
I have
girl.
pretty deep Midwest culture. But really quickly after that, ran into this gentleman while I was studying at University of Cincinnati. And that was 35 years ago.
Long time.
So 1990, a whole different decade. But
yeah, the haircuts were way worse back then.
Or better.
Or better,
and,
yeah.
So for the past 35 years, we've uniquely created and designed our life and our family. I think in the early years of our relationship, we served the church through the band and through music. And then we started serving Haiti and the Hands and Feet Project, which, as you mentioned, I'm currently sitting as the executive director. So in that role, I'm a leader, I guess, and a coworker and a friend, and spending a lot of dedicated and intentional time serving that organization and the people in it. So
yeah. Speaking of leadership, what's been your leadership style? You said leader, coworker, friend. So I mean I think that sums it up to me pretty well. But tell us that.
I mean, can I say reluctant leader? Is that a type of leadership? So I think reluctant leader and just standing in the gap wherever it's needed. And I think that's just adaptability, flexibility, seeing needs and leaning into them. But I think my leadership style is definitely more operational, getting all of the structure together so that people can use their gifts to serve in ministry and mission and serving people. And you can do more if you have the structure behind you. So that's kind of where I feel like, And I think I would say a servant leader as well. I think every day you start the day with how can I serve the people that I work with? What can I do? What do you need? How is that personal? Is that professional? Is that tools? Is that conversation? Is that training, or what do you need? So I try to start every conversation with, what can I do for you? What do you need from me? So.
You do it really well. Just speaking from experience.
Oh, that's great.
You're my coworker, so yeah.
Come on.
I mean, you kind of been through a lot of different stages of Hands and Feet's kind of tenure. I mean, we're 21 years this year. I mean, we had a different mission statement and vision statement when we first started. You've helped us navigate into a new one. You've supported previous executive directors, and now you are the executive director. And we've seen a lot of changes in Haiti, from the way we care for kids and staffing and all those things. And as you just said, operationally and processes, even in Haiti, you've helped design a lot of that. But just overall impressions of where we started to now, how we've changed, and kind of your part in that, and maybe what some big things that you're just like, I'm really happy we kind of got to this, or we landed on this, or this way of doing it. So anything like that stands out.
Yeah, well, I'm closing 20 years of being on staff or on team of Hands and Feet Project. And, obviously you're
amazing.
A founder, and
Yeah.
we participated in the beginning of the organization. So it's hard to condense those 21, 22 years. I think I remember you coming and having these conversations in 2000 and is that 2003? Yeah.
3, 4, right
2003 about maybe this vision to go in and do some kind of ministry and mission in Haiti. And it's really interesting because you're basically sitting there with a blank slate. And so from a blank slate to 2025, and being part of the organization for 20 years, sometimes I'm like, man, my fingerprint feels like it's on a lot of aspects of the organization, just structurally, program, mission statement, we just did our new branding.
Yep.
So there's a lot that I've been involved in. So to condense that into maybe a little bit more concise ideas of what I think were really good things. I think an early transition of dedicated childcare workers. I was an operations director and felt it felt like a season where we really needed to have some intentional direction and leadership in our programming space. We called it a childcare director. Now it's a programming director.
Yeah.
I think making sure that, yes, we are focused on infrastructure and building beautiful things and creating safe spaces that care for people, but we also need to care for the people in them. So a lot of diving in. I mean, I'm just a business-minded person, so getting people to surround me and all the spiritual and emotional and physical care, just a lot of people investing in that core of who we are and how we're going to care for the people in Haiti was really important. So I think that was really valuable. I think another transition was empowering Haitian leadership. So we made a massive shift from heavy American presence, missionary-led, American-led in a Haitian culture. And it took us a little bit to make that transition. So we actually made a move. Our family moved to Haiti to make that move.
That's right, a couple years.
So we were able to do on the ground 2-year transition of saying, what do we want this to be Haitian led, Haitian managed, Haitian directed. And that's been a really cool thing. Somebody said once, anytime you're investing in people, it's not lost. So even if they're not at Hands and Feet Project anymore, their investment that we put into them are now serving other organizations, other companies, their family, their community, and their church. So I think investing in our adult Haitian leadership was amazing. And then what else was it? I think those are probably the really big things. I think changing branding, changing mission statement, just constantly reflecting on where we are as an organization, looking at what the conditions of Haiti are, and trying to get where we can serve the best. So I think right now we're in a really great season of streamlining our core competencies in our programming, trying not to compete with others, Haitian or other international NGOs. And we have our 3 key projects, and we're investing more deeply in those. So I think maybe more focus has been really helpful. It was just a challenge in Haiti because the need is great and you want to serve everybody. But the realization that you have a specific skill set that matches a specific need, and we can do it deeper, a little bit deeper.
I love that. Yeah. Our word for the year is endeavor. Which I love, but one of the monthly words recently was focus. And I think God has really allowed us to focus and be super intentional right now, which I just am thrilled with, because I think that's where you see the impact really start to multiply. God multiply that reach and that impact. And
then as our team gets developed, they have their own focus too, which just is constantly just being refined, and everyone has their own pointed role in a program and they understand how it fits in the project, which fits in the bigger mission vision of the organization. So I like that word.
They start to soar.
Yeah.
They start to soar then in their own programming space, which awesome. Letting them soar, letting them run.
Own it a little bit more.
I love it. Cool. So cool. Great answer.
Well, we talked about focus, but the word for this month for you is press. Does that word kind of stir anything up in you when you hear it? I mean, you've kind of talked about the changes just in our organization as well as the landscape of Haiti. What's it mean for you to, press in those situations?
Yeah, I think press, what that brings up to me is pressure, which is probably how I'm wired, right? High loyalty, responsibility. But I think a lot of times when I think press I feel, you just feel the pressure. So, and that's probably, what we're meaning here today. It's because you're pressing in, you're pressing out, and you're trying to press things, behind you as well, like mistakes that were made or things that you could have done better or relationships that have been, challenged or broken through the process. But I think for me, it's when I hear the word press, I hear the word, pressing, which is, right, we're all going through things in our life and our workplace and our personal place and what that pressing and that crushing does and what that leaves, but also just the pressure of the responsibility of meeting different stakeholders in the organization's expectations. So we have the people we serve and they have their expectations. We have our staff, both international sides of the ocean. We have a board, our donors and our investors and our prayer partners. They all have expectations, and so I think it's a little surrounded a little bit by some pressing there on all sides.
I think I can say this because I know it about you. Is I think it's just the amount of importance you place on this, and the seriousness in which you take it. So that's probably where that pressure comes from. You want to do this at such a high level and with integrity and with all the things. And I think your season for me is marked by a lot of shoring up. It's a lot of dotting the I's, crossing the T's. You have Mark and myself maybe who are more bigger vision and, pie in the sky and like anything is attainable and, maybe storytellers and vision casters and stuff like that. But along with that comes a serious amount of need to actually do it, and to actually accomplish it, to actually be the backbone that the person sitting in the seat that makes sure that what we say we're doing, we're actually doing. And so it's important. Maybe share about the struggle of that. It's just like you've got these crazy visionaries, but you really want to say what we do and do what we say. So that's a famous saying of you. So I'm quoting you there, but
well, that goes way before, the establishment of Hands and Feet Project. Yeah. Mark and Will, gifted with this enthusiasm and excitement and love to tell a good story. And I'm not that person. So I think moving to Nashville, especially just surrounded by creatives, it's you can see that they need support structure around them. So it's musicians, it's ministries, it's writers and speakers that all have these really great ideas, but ideas will fall flat without somebody who not only can just break it down into smaller pieces and implement it, but keeping it on track and accountable, and just making sure the ship is all going in the right direction. But I think that's been a theme, a little bit of a theme. I used to call myself your all's janitor, but so I think
clean up on aisle 9 over here.
And I think that's really what invited me into the Hands and Feet Project story originally, because we were, I had 3 kids under 4 when we decided to start Hands and Feet Project. And I remember just having that conversation, those thought processes, and I probably communicated a little bit more directly than I will today.
Don't pull me into this.
Yes, it probably was take my money, but don't ask me to do anything. And so I would have envisioned this this mission and what's become a massive mission in ministry would have just been kind of small, and us being financial givers, but not really people who would go or do on a really substantial basis.
So what was the thing that changed in that situation that made you jump from just financial to, I mean, you're the executive director now. I mean,
she's worn a lot of hats too on the
family
way.
dynamics changed. Your
for sure.
entire life in ministry. I mean, what was that thing that made you take that jump?
I think the ask. Then there was a need, there was an ask, and I said yes. So I think there's a lot of power in your yes. I think at the time, it was still really small. And you had brought up just kind of becoming serious, like it became important. It became serious. It's okay. Wait, Haitian government has legitimately put children in our care. This is serious things that we've committed to.
A long commitment to an 18-year commitment with each of them, and each one that gets place even today is another 18 years. So
that's
very substantial.
That's connected to some other decisions that have been made, but it wasn't just making widgets or writing music, which are all very important and valuable, but when you're accepting responsibility and care and partnership with the Haitian government to care for its people, its next generation, it really took on a life of its own. So, but originally I was brought in to do some administrative structural financing things, and then it just kind of grew from there and became an operations director, and then the programming director, and then accepted the role as executive director. So I've worn a lot of hats. Through the seasons, through the decades. That's how old I am.
Haiti is captivating too. We started early on. We wanted to get our kids out of our, United States kind of bubble, and wanted them to see how the rest of the world lives and get a taste of other cultures. And so when we started, they were like 5, 7, and 9. I mean, they were wee little lads, that we took down there, and, we got them down there. And then I think they fell in love with Haiti, and the kids and the students on our campuses. Lots of characters from our leaders to other people in the neighborhood that really captivated us too, different kids, different people. And so I think you just start to get hooked, and then you want to keep going back to Haiti. So we did it every year, I think for a number of years, just on summer vacation, And then eventually, as Andrea grew in the different responsibilities in the position she held, we ended up living there, as we mentioned. So that's just kind of how, when I don't know who says this, either you say it or it's someone else on our staff. It's like the answer is yes. God, what's the question? And I feel like that's a way you operate, which is really admirable. So that's awesome. That gets you into things too. When your answer is yes, okay, God, what's the question?
I mean, I've only been here. Been here. It's 2.5 years now.
I was going to say, you're almost 3 years.
I remember walking up into the office and Will said, "Hey, he wants a job." I said, "I do?" And you're like, "All right, come on." And it's just kind of been that same theme of just, all right, say yes. And, the amount of time that you've just poured into me and, allowed me to grow, and, even with growing pains, it's been really valuable, to be allowed to, press into that and figure that out. So kind of fast forward to current day. What's going on with you? What's going on with Hands and Feet Project? What's happening right now in 2025?
In 2025, I think we spent a substantial part of 2024 just reflecting on the future that started early 23. We just trying to figure out how we were going to grow and serve in more communities. How do we take our core programming and replicate those in different areas? But I think what you're asking me, are you asking me to kind of just speak into really our current programming, or what my personal role is shifting, but the background of that is, in 2023, I was 5 years into this role, and a lot longer than I thought it would. I think that we had originally committed to maybe a 2-year program or a 2-year commitment to being the executive director. Will and I thought our kids were going to age out. We'll probably move back into Haiti and serve from the field. But the world had a lot of other
COVID and all the other shifts that happened in the world. Yep.
Yeah. So COVID comes along. The
Shifts
UN,
in Haiti too.
The UN pulls out of Haiti. Yeah. There's a power vacuum and a security crisis, and the gangs have filtered in, and we all know all of the trickle effects of what's happened from 2017 to 2025. But in those seasons, it really required. Actually, when I took this role, I was like, I don't know. I don't really see it. I don't really know what I have to offer, but I'm going to say yes. Let's try 2 years and see what that happens. But through all of those, I was like, okay, God, I totally get it. I understand why I'm here. I had this longevity of time within the organization, maybe a little bit more tenacity and loyalty just out of our original yes.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships were already established from us living there and traveling back and forth substantially. So we were able to weather those seasons. I believe because I brought all of these things to the table and was able to navigate and adapt continually for the next few years after that. But in 2023, when things even the chaos felt consistent, or the chaos felt stable, and all of those challenges felt we could navigate them a little bit easier. We were starting to have conversations about what this transition of leadership would look like. I'm not considered or labeled as a founder, but we've been founder led since the beginning. So Mark and Will are still founding members on the board, and I'm sitting in this seat. And so it feels like it would be really a harder transition, especially since we went past that 2-year mark. And we just started having conversations and meeting with other organizations and attending like classes and conferences and going, hey, how do we transition leadership from maybe this founder mentality to the next leader? 2024, our wonderful branding and marketing leader kind of gave us this word reflect. And so that whole year was us reflecting backwards on where we've come from, all the things that have happened. And
that's right.
But in that reflection back also just really triggered some things about how I see Haiti a little bit different. I experience it differently. Lots of kids have been placed in our care in 2024 and 2025. I shouldn't say lots. I should probably know the number, but it's close to 15, which is a substantial amount considered previous years.
It shows the desperation of Haiti and the season Haiti's in right now.
Yeah, but the thought was when placement came, I was like, man, that's another 18-year commitment. So you go back to 2024, we get our first girl, Tamara, and 18 years was, you're like, 18, we could totally do this. Well, now when a kid gets placed in our care, I'm like, 18 years, don't think I'm going to be here. Yeah. Who's the next, what are we raising up leaders in the next generation of people to care for that? And then I think God just planted these little crumbs through a trail, and I just followed them and ended up stepping down from my role as the executive director at the beginning of this year and gave the board a significant runway to find the right person. But I think by the time this airs, I won't be the sitting executive director at the time. Is that what you're trying to get into that question?
No, I mean, it's good to talk about that and to share that with people who are listening with Project Red. But I think moreover, this thing was important enough. We cared about it enough. And, family businesses and or founder-led organizations can die when that key person, leader, whatever, personality, goes away. And then the work could could just kind of disappear. So none of us wanted that. And that was a big part of, I think, the conversation. We really want to see this go another 20 years. And obviously we're not thinking that any next leader or any next person could have the commitments that me, you, and Mark and others have had for so long. But we definitely want to see it last into the future.
And it will.
And it will. And we're so excited about how God might change it, or he might go to other countries, or all these things. You could put any kind of dream or idea in your brain at that point, and it's doable when we say yes to that part of it, you know, when we hold it loosely and we're willing to not have to, you know, go to our graves with this thing being our main thing, or our main identity, or our main piece. So I think all of that is a part of this decision, which, and God is meeting us at every step. So that's super cool. Yeah. But I also think it's equally as important as we discuss that. It's where you've taken the organization. Like you mentioned programming, and you mentioned like how we're growing in a tough place. We say we're planting seeds and working tough soil, you know, very hard soil. And today in Haiti is a really different Haiti than when we lived there. It was an amazing season when we lived there. We were able to enjoy Haiti in such, you know, crazy ways with our kids. And today it's not as easy to live there and to go there. We still do have some people going in, and they support our staff down there, and that's so cool. I mean, 204 staff in Haiti right now, Haitian, top-down led leaders.
Hands and feet.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, and we might have 3 or 4 you know, U.S. support folks that go in and support those guys, but we support our other staff back here, support them. But so yeah, how is that shift really playing out today? Maybe in programming, I know we talked about we're focused. We're talking about how we're trying to replicate ourselves in other communities, and so I'm really amped about that. That's a part that I get to play in. You know, I get to rah and cheerlead and to garner up a lot of energy around.
You're the energy guy.
Yeah, how we're growing,
sure.
You know, and how we're going to do this in other parts of Haiti that are not the gang-infested areas. I think that's super important to highlight. We're not in Port-au-Prince. We're in peripheral areas and we're in partnership. So I love that word too, partnership with other organizations who are still there, who haven't given up on Haiti like we haven't. So maybe share about that a little bit, kind of your thoughts on where you've gotten hands and feet today. So
tying in what you're asking, and just where I am in my position. Yeah, we spent 2024 trying to have lots of conversations about what this looks like in the future, and 25 instigating new org charts. I mean, trying to design the org chart, trying to establish high level leadership in Haiti. Yep. It's really setting it up so that the next executive director, the next board can do multiple avenues. I mean, they can go into new countries because we've got a regional org chart or communication channel structure. We do have our core focus programs. So those can be isolated and cut, grown, replicated in any part of any of those regions. So everything's kind of a little bit cleaned up a little bit as far as more specialists, what we were talking about early, less generalists, but also just prepping. You know, Steve Biondi told me, he's like, I've just been taking my hand out of the cookie jar a little bit at a time in his transition out of the TTF. That. Yeah, so I've been trying to do that. I'm trying not. It's been an interesting season of 2025 to be to try to step back, but also to be all in. Like, I'm just an all in kind of like person. I'm either all in or I'm all out. So this has been a really hard season for me to okay, how do I serve you well? How do I get you what you want? But I also want you to kind of push yourself a little bit and take some more ownership without me actually being in it. And so that's been an interesting transition for me. So
absolutely.
So we had, I think in 2026 we're slated to care for 1,000 kids. So it's also just outgrown my ability to be what it used to fuel me would be relationships with our staff and relationships with the kids. I knew all their names, their stories. And so I think that has made it a little bit easier because I can't keep up with everyone the way I want to. So that
be connected to them as much.
Being connected and leading them well. And so I think just picking and choosing maybe some core people and backing away from some others and following certain certain aspects of our ministry that I feel like I need to do to tell a really good story, to be accountable to our stakeholders and the board. So it's been a really interesting year, as you guys all know, because you guys have been walking through it with me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to say this. I mean,
we've been kind of creating it as we go. Some of the narrative and some of the things that we needed to do. But how does that feel as I hear you say, heading toward touching and having impact on 1,000 kids? I mean, and there's parents involved in that equation too. So that's even more people we're having impact on. And what's the vehicles right now that we're rolling through to get to that number? I mean, how are we doing that?
Are you talking like program structure?
Yeah. What's our focus right now?
I think we're going to, when we talk about that 20-year service in Haiti, our philosophy and approach has also shifted. Yeah. So we used to be about development and growth and getting people from circumstance to independence. In the environment of Haiti, that's been one massive philosophical shift since probably, we wrestled with it probably from 2020 on. I think we finally have given up a little bit in 2023 and just were like, hey, we're going to feed the poor, heal the sick, provide shelter, food. And so that gives us opportunities to serve more kids. And we do it through collaborative partnerships, which you are in charge of. You and Patrick manage a lot of those partnerships with Haitian organizations, leaders, communities, government officials, NGOs. And so we're serving other NGOs, which helps us reach other people. But our core monthly support programs are our residential care. We provide families. We preserve families whenever we can. So that's Stronger Together. We're coming alongside every family in their unique circumstance in every effort to keep child abandonment from happening. And then our daycare services, which provide families a way to get their kid nutrition, early childhood development, a safe place while they're out trying to provide for their family. So those are our three. Empowering. So we call it empowering communities, preserving families, and providing families. So those are our three core projects, and I think that's where we're at until somewhere down the line we add something new or change it. But that's how we're going to get to those 1,000 kids. But some of them are like deep in the trenches. We still do a lot of life with those children, those vulnerable kids, and some of them I don't know. So that's been very different. You can't know intimately 1,000 children's stories. And so
that's right.
And so to serve more, you have to kind of lose some things. So not that it's a bad thing. No, it's just a different thing.
It's our Haitian leaders now that are having the intimate relationships and are pouring into them and knowing the situations and all of that. So
they all have custom designed care. Yeah. They all have custom designed care through our Haitian staff, and our U.S. staff at this point, in my perspective, is we're servant leaders to our Haitian community. What can we do to serve you? What do you need?
Support.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for taking us through all that. That was awesome. I think that's really benefiting someone listening right now to see how the whole hands and feet kind of structure is just intertwined and works together and is really chasing just as much impact right now as we can, multiplying stakeholder dollars into as much impact as we can right now. So, sweet.
That's also just, that's a big responsibility. People are sacrificing, and we should be good stewards of that gift and that trust. So,
you're often talking about the one child perspective, their story, their life, their family, their God-given potential. How has that shaped the way that you've led Hands and Feet Project, the leaders in Haiti? How's that just changed your day-to-day perspective?
Love that. Great question.
Yeah, I think it's important to not get lost in the focus of the one vulnerable child. I mean, our mission statement is centered around it. All of our programs are centered around it. And I think that's actually just the right thing to do. I think when you somebody told me once, and I think actually Amy mentioned it as well, but if we focus on the depth of our ministry, then God will take care of the breadth of it. And that's just been really important to me. That was shared with me many, many years ago. And if we sometimes when you're looking at on an operational standpoint, how you're serving and who you're serving and what outlet and program and staff, if you get lost and lose the sight of the person, that one child who has a name, who has an environment, who has a story, a hard story. I mean, we're not dealing with like a majority happy stories. And so just to not forget that God sees them, we should see them, we should be able to hear them, we should be able to know them. We want them to be seen and known and heard, because we can't serve them without that. If they're just a number or a name, they're just going to be a count or a number in a house. But they all come as uniquely made as we are.
Yep.
And that comes with unique service and unique future for them. And so all of our programming really should be designed around the one child, knowing them, seeing them, and then how do we serve them? And that's them, and that's their family, and that's their community, because they all look different. So we just need to be very cautious. There have been times where I've been overwhelmed with need. So if somebody's like, I think we have 500 families right now.
Yeah, on the
waiting
Stronger Together waiting list.
Waiting
Yep.
on have requested, or our team have said they need some form of support, and that can be really overwhelming. In my brain, it immediately shifts to, how do I care for 500 families? That's about 1,000 kids, and they lose their name and their story and their struggle. And I'm starting to just go, man, how do I prioritize that? Who can we serve? How many? And then how do I do it? And I really have to keep myself in check and say, I want the list. I need the list of their names. I need to look through their stories. I need to look through their home assessments. I need my team who's there on the ground doing
Yep.
life with them
Really
to share their heart
Yep.
and their perspective on who is the greatest need and who we're best fit to serve. And I think that's very important. Like, I don't think, even in our staff culture, we should all be interacting with each other as knowing us as individuals and how we're wired and what God created
Yep.
us to do and our gifts and what we bring to Hands and Feet Project's team. And so, yeah, I think we should be chasing the one.
That's a big part of our Hands and Feet culture, I believe, and we're trying to instill that in our Haitian culture too. It's being in relationship, it's being in relationship. Like when Patrick hurts and he hurts in his family, we want to be praying for him, want to be thinking about him. When we hurt, when our Haitians are hurting personally and as a team, when they've gone to battle for a child and then it doesn't go the way we want it to go. It's we all hurt together in that case, and then we celebrate the successes together too. And so we want to do that well. But that's awesome. Yeah, with being focused on the one child. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're the future of Haiti, and
the investment that we're putting into it,
and they're worth it.
Yeah,
every one of them.
Yep.
So as you've taken 2025 to set Hands and Feet Project up to continue to press, as we continue, where you're leaving this legacy of 21 years, you're pressing pause.
I am, yeah.
How does that feel?
Uncomfortable. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean,
that's fair.
It's, even if you are moving into something new and it's good, you're still losing something. And so I think navigating that is a challenge. So days where it's easier, I'm super comfortable and I'm excited. And there's days that I'm like, oh, I'm really going to miss that. It's every day feels a little different every week, and we're coming to the end. So, technically I resigned in January, so we're 9 months in it at this point. So I've had some
got some time to process it and figure it out.
Yeah,
and
the
deal
hills
with
and the
up and
valleys
down.
are starting to become a little bit more level.
Yeah.
But I think pause allows for another thing. Well, allows for me to just rest, reflect, kind of restore, and prepare for the next season for me. And Hands and Feet Project will always be like a massive part of my life, your life, our family's
Absolutely.
life. And it will continue to be, which makes it a little easier because he's a founder, and so he's he's got a board membership forever. So I'll be able to keep up with people. I think a little bit more versus if not. But I also think I'm excited to see what's ahead, what a new outside fresh leadership, fresh eyes will bring to the table, and what they want to do. Good. But yeah, I think at the same time, right, you're mourning something, even if it's the right thing to do, it's a good thing to do, you're ready. Still, it's 20 years of relationships. And I think that's probably the hardest thing to step away from. So.
Yeah. You went deep with people. So that's why that's going to be hard. So.
Is that what you were asking me?
That's exactly what I was asking.
Okay.
So a lot of people talk about how sometimes stepping away from leadership is much harder than stepping in. Yeah. So kind of two sides to that. How are you helping prepare the new executive director to step in to help that transition? But also, what are some ways that you've, found that helped with, your own, health and spiritual life and mental health, just as you step away? What have you been doing that really helped ease that transition? Because we're getting closer and closer.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it was when I found out, when Dana asked me to do this podcast, and I was like, well, what's the word? I was having a hard time figuring out what I would be able to contribute as I'm leading, and she's like, oh, the word is press. And I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I've been there's a song called Leaving with Oil, and it's all about just how everything looks different in the pressing. It all looks different in the crushing. And it's been a pretty tough season of crushing and pressing, and just, I think, saying that my life is an offering, and in the crushing and the pressing, I'm going to just leave oil, and it's going to be left at the feet of Jesus, and it's his to do with what he wants. Oh,
I love that.
Yeah. But I forget what you asked me, but I think it's just the process of preparing everyone. Yeah. Preparing the organization, preparing for the next executive director, preparing myself.
You're going to make me cry.
You said when you're stepping out of leadership, it's harder than stepping in, because stepping in is the yes. And sometimes you feel like stepping out is the no, but trying to reframe it to say I'm stepping into something else and allowing somebody else to say yes. Yeah. And so I think that's been really a mental, an emotional shift for me, because I don't want to say no, but I also need to say yes to something else.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Do you have any wisdom that you feel like you could leave anyone that might be feeling pressed on every side? That could be leadership role. That could just be the weight of the world or anything that they're going through. Yeah. What kind of wisdom would you give someone going through that?
Oh, man. Yeah. It's a big question.
I think when you're in the pressing, I think you need space. And that can be space that can be filled with different things for everyone. I personally can experience or reflect back on all of my life, but anytime that I wasn't taking space for myself, they were really hard seasons. So they were hard because I was just pushing through raising kids and not getting my own rest, as you do when you have a lot of little kids, and Will traveled a lot. So that was just a really pressing season. I think pressing in leadership at Hands and Feet Project through all of the changes that were required over this last season were really pressing. And when I reflect back when I might have just not handled things the way I wanted to, or just could have done better, just reflecting back and just saying, man, I could have done better. But also preparing for the longevity of it as well, right? If you lose yourself, then you're not really doing a service to the longevity of your ministry, your mission, the longevity of your family or your marriage.
That's true.
Or just the work of your hands and whatever that looks like. So for me, it's space, and everybody's space looks a little different. When I am getting out into nature is really important to us as a family and as a couple, and me. Those are really important times. I normally like silence. I've been trying to fill my silence with more like worship music. Like I had just mentioned, leaving with the oil. Yeah. I mean, that was only in the last 6 months did I put a music app on my phone, because I used to tell people my favorite music is silence. I used to tell people that all the time.
Yeah, that's funny.
Which I married a musician, so it is funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So using music to hear the outpouring of other people's hearts that have been through some things, I think is encouraging, which I could never relate to in the first 50 something years of my life.
Comes out of pain. They can write that deep lyric from that. Yep.
Yeah. So I think just being creative. I do a lot of creative problem solving and a lot of adapting at work, but I don't do a lot of creative work of my hands as far as like art and culture and things like that. So I try to, when I'm doing those things, I feel like better. I feel like I serve better. I lead better. I'm nicer. But also, I think just surrounding yourself with people who can see that in you and just, prompt you that you need some rest. You need to step back. You need to hand that off. You need to I think Dana and I even talked about, like, we think everything is really important and it's intensely important. Like we take everything that we do pretty important and pretty intensely. So choosing some things that might not get all the 100% attention, intensity, and perfection that you want them to be, but also this thing. People speaking into your life that say, hey, don't forget to take a break. Don't forget to put your oxygen mask on before you serve others. Or, hey, go. I see you struggling here, and you really just need to kind of just pray about that and reflect back and just say, hey, if you want to be here for the long haul, you just really have to do some things first. Yeah. So with the help of, all of those outlets, but I think those outlets would be different. You're going to write, you're going to do projects on the land and hike, and so everybody has something different. But I think we have to create space in our work and in our life. Yeah,
I love that.
And one thing with you as a leader, you are so intentional about seeing that in all of us. The amount of times that you've asked me, or like you've seen me in a season, and I might not even know what I'm going through, and you're like, hey. Are you writing right now? Are you doing this? So I respect that a lot, and I've really appreciated that. You've always been very intentional with noticing that. So I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for saying so. So now you need to ask me back.
I guess we'll see.
So I think that brings us to how you know Hands and Feet really deeply. Like, what if we're going to ask anyone listening right now how they can be thinking about Hands and Feet, how they could be taking Hands and Feet to the throne room, to just lifting us up in prayer and kind of advocating for us, what would you say are like the things they could be really thinking about right now?
That's good. I think there are several areas that you can pray on behalf of Hands and Feet Project. Yeah. Much of this conversation is about the executive director transition. So that will be happening, I think, by the time this is released. So praying for the next leader, praying for, vision, strength, perseverance through the next learning season. I think that's when you take on some big responsibility. It's a huge learning curve, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. And so just pace and priority for them and an approach to understanding the work at Hands and Feet Project and getting all of the important elements done. So filtering through all of that and finding joy in some of the hardships. So it's a hard organization to run for the people we serve in a struggling country and broken people. And and a staff that's living that, right? And so all of this 200 plus staff are living in the culture that is struggling, and they're also showing up to work and being the hands and feet of Jesus to the people that we serve, and that's really hard.
So prayers for our staff too in Haiti and our U.S. staff and all that transition for sure. Yeah,
it's heavy work, hard work, and it's takes some special people, and we have them all lined up, and we're super grateful for our team. So our team, our executive director transition, and I would be remiss to not just pray for improvement in the conditions of Haiti and hope for
Absolutely.
Everyone that lives there that's kind of just like us that want to have a simple life and have hope and joy and provide for their kids and see them grow and have opportunity. Yeah. So I think those would be the big three for me.
Are there any progress specifically for you as you're exiting?
Oh, exiting. Yeah. I think I don't stumble on my way out the door. I think, I mean, my goal for me is 20 years, I'm looking to have some version of a sabbatical. Yeah. So for me, it's just, I've been busy for so long. I don't really know what that feels like. So it's going to be a really interesting season to kind of step back and try to rest and reflect and I don't know, just redesign what life looks like for me in the workplace and where I fit in family and ministry and what that looks like. So I think that's
awesome.
Rest and actually creating space. That's what I'm going to say.
There we go.
Help Andrea create space so that she can reflect and restore and renew for the next endeavor. Oh, that's also our word. Nice, Dana. Yeah, So what's next? What's my next endeavor? I think would be part of my prayer request. So.
I love it. Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
I mean, no, really. I mean, this has been awesome. So happy that we were able to get you on here.
Thank you for having me.
And I think it's going to be amazing for people to hear this podcast. And we're thankful that they're going to be praying for us. And we're excited about what's next, too. So all of that is
It's been an honor to serve with you and for you and for the people of Haiti. 20 years. It's been great. It's been a wild ride.
Such a joy. I love it.
Moments of joy.
All right, wanted to give a couple updates here about Hands and Feet Project. So first of all, the Little Hands Daycare. I'm a massive fan of this program. I mean, it's Montessori education, all the tactile, all the manipulatives, the younger kids with the older kids, that social experiment, and they get a protein, and so it's affecting their brain development, their growth of their bodies and their mind, stirring their minds on, and so the impact is huge there, and the parents know at Hands and Feet Project, when they drop their children off at these spaces, they're a safe space, they're a loving space, they're a caring space, they're full of worship, and there's joy there, there's happiness, all these things. And so we're trying to replicate these all over Haiti in partnership with other orgs, in partnership with Haitian churches, with just all the creative ways we can replicate these. We want to do it because it's changing Haiti. It's an investment in Haiti's future. And so we're amped about that program, as you can tell, I hope. Anyway, and so the daycares just, these teachers show up every day and they love on these kids. They have the sensory gardens where they go outside and explore their outside environments. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see. And we've done it long enough now that we're seeing super amazing when these kids go into their next phases of education, they're tops in their class. So we're seeing super great outcomes. And so that's the biggest thing we could see right there is these guys being confident and being the tops in their class and taking on the next steps in their education just as the top leaders and doing it so well. So we're really proud of the Little Hands Daycare. So that's awesome. What you got, Patrick?
What can you do? You can stock the shelves, open the doors, and change the story.
I love that.
Through our Project Essentials page, you can place real tools in real hands. It's keeping our Little Hands Daycare program not just running, but flourishing. Every item you provide helps a child step into a safe space to learn, grow, and belong. And it helps new doors swing open for communities still waiting.
I love that. That's on our website, right?
It is.
handsandfeetproject.org. So go there, Project Essentials page, and man, you can help us in so many ways right there. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on Project Red, and we will see you on the next one. Really appreciate Andrea being here on this one, and Patrick, as always, bringing the great questions. So we'll see you next time on an awesome Project Red.